Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're here to break down the Xfinity Series race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but it is not the oval like the normal Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is the first time they're ever going to be racing at the road course at Indy. So this is the first for NASCAR as a whole. None of the top three series have raced here, so I have no data to go off of any past history at this track, but there's the Xfinity Series races 4 road courses a year anyway, 3 or 4, and so I'm just going to go off data from that. Usually the drivers that are good at one road course are good at another one. So that's going to be the data we're going to go off of for today. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe, hit a like, leave a comment, let me know how I'm doing. Turn on that notification bell. All those things really help me grow this channel, help me get out there more. And if you want to get more of my content, you can subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put the link in the description below. You'll get my spreadsheets for all top three series in NASCAR, Cup, Xfinity, and Trucks, along with my projections. You'll get articles where I break down drivers that I really think are great plays, as well as my rankings for each salary range and my cash core for every week, and my GPP exposures as well. So if you want to get into all of that, I'll put the link in the description below for my Patreon. And then if you also want to follow me on social media, on Twitter at DFSNateLane or on Instagram at NateLane_, I'll put those in the description too. If you haven't already, you should check out my Cup Series video for Indianapolis on Sunday. It's a lot different race. You should not take anything I say in this video and try to apply it to the Cup Series. And same thing with that one. You should not take anything from the Cup Series video and try to apply it to this because they are completely different tracks. So, all right, let's get going. Up first, we have Allmendinger. Most expensive driver for a reason, and I think he's a great play. He has the best average finish at road courses over the last 2 years in the Xfinity Series. He starts 30th, so he has a ton of place differential upside, but and that's why he's the most expensive driver, because he starts 30th, but he's in a good car for college racing. Already has a win once this year, and he's been so good at the road courses every single time they go to them in the Xfinity Series. He has at least one win, I think maybe 2, and I fully expect him to be up in the running at the end of the race to win. I mean, he should be a top 5 car. He's top 5 driver in this race. So yeah, I expect a lot of big things from Allmendinger. He has the best average finish or average position at road courses. He doesn't have any laps led in the last 2 years, but it can't be true though. Never mind. And then the last 5 races he's run, well, it hasn't been the last 5. The last few races he's run, he's got an average finish of 5 and an average running position of 11, so that's really good. Up next, we have Austin Syndrich at 10,500, starting 10th. Austin Syndrich in the Xfinity Series, out of the Xfinity regulars, he is by far the best driver at the road courses. He's always in contention to win. He probably is my favorite to win in my opinion this race. The one thing I will say is he starts 10th, so I don't expect him to get up front and lead a bunch of laps early. I don't really expect him to be a dominator, but I just expect him to be in contention. You are going to need him to lead laps, and it's a tough one. He is going to be highly owned because he is good at these tracks, so people are going to play Austin Syndrich this week, but he may not end up being the guy you want to have. But I think he's fine regardless. I think he's going to be in contention to win, and he might just lead the last stage, and if he does that, you're going to be set. Second best average finish at a road course for him, second best average position at a road course, 133 laps led, which at road course over the past years, which is so far and ahead, better than everybody else. Average finish of 9.33 coming into this race, average position of 7, and Syndrich hasn't won a race yet this year. He needs to win a race to lock himself into the playoffs, so he's going to make it no matter what, but Syndrich hasn't won a race yet this year, and he needs to get himself a win. Up next, we have Chase Briscoe at 10,200, starting 12th. Briscoe's got the 5th best average finish at road courses and the 5th best average position, 61 laps led. He's another good play, good place differential, so I think him and Syndrich are both good. I would favor Syndrich a little bit more just because I think he has more potential to win and lead more laps than Briscoe, but they're both very good plays. They're both going to be pretty highly owned. They're not too expensive. They're expensive, but they're not ridiculously expensive for where they're starting. They should both be top 5 drivers by this race. Both have lap led upside, so I like both of them a lot. Justin Allgaier is up next, starting 5th. This is another driver who I think he's very good at road courses. He starts 5th, and I like this one better because one of the drivers who starts towards the front is going to lead the majority of the opening laps. And I think Justin Allgaier is a very good pick to do so. He has the 3rd best average position or average finish at road course and the 3rd best average position at road course over the last 2 years, and he's got 35 laps led. So he comes in looking good. He hasn't had a very good season so far, but he's had a lot of bad luck. A lot of like wrecks and stuff have caused his finishes to be worse than they really should be, when in reality he's like one of the best cars every single week. I mean, we saw it at Pocono last week. One of the best cars got caught up in an accident. It wasn't his fault. It just happens, seems like every single race, kind of like Eric Jones in the Cup Series. But I think Allgaier looks good. I think he's just like Syndrich. He needs to get a win this year, and I think this track is going to suit strongly to those two. There is practice later on today, which I mean is happening after I record this video. I don't know how important practice. I usually practice is like one of the biggest things for me, and unless there's a car that's just so much faster than everybody else, I don't know how big of a deal that's really going to be, because these guys have literally never ran this track before. So up next we have Noah Gragson starting 8th at 9,800. I think Gragson's fine. I need Gragson to lead laps, and the road courses have been good for him, but they haven't been like anything special. 4th best average finish and average position, which is really good, of course, but like he only has 1 lap led at a road course in the last 2 years. I just don't really expect him to get up front and lead a bunch of laps. Yeah, he's been fast all year. He's had a great car, one of the better drivers in the Xfinity Series this year, probably the second best driver this year in the Xfinity Series, if we're being completely honest. And I don't really see him getting up to the front and leading a bunch of laps. I see him hanging around top 5 all day, and he might be a fine driver to play. I'm going to have my fair share of Gragson, but I just would not favor him over someone like Allgaier, Briscoe, or Syndrich, because they have the place differential upside, and they've shown the ability to lead a bunch of laps here. Up next, we have Harrison Burton starting 6th for 9,600. I like Harrison Burton a lot, but I don't think this is the track for him. The road courses, he has the 8th best average finish and the 8th best average position at them. That just doesn't jump off the page to me for someone starting 6th. 0 laps led at road courses. But coming into this race, he has been running really well. Average finish of 4.5 and average running position of 6.5 outside of his wreck at Pocono last week. So I think he's fine. I think he's a guy that I don't hate playing one bit. He's going to be lower owned. No one's going to play him as much as they're going to play some of these other guys priced above him. And I think he'll be an interesting play. I just don't expect him to lead laps, but if he can finish like top 2, yeah, I mean, that's going to be a play that could end up, depending on how everything else shakes out, could end up being a very optimal play to have, and someone who could be lower owned. So I do like Harrison Burton. Next, we have Ross Chastain for 9,400 starting 9th. Chastain, like Burton, has not been good at the road courses, and I mean, it's been way worse. 10th best average finish and 12th best average position. I don't think I'm going to be playing Chastain this week. I don't expect him to get up front and lead laps because of his starting position. I just don't think he has a ton of upside here. I'd rather play Burton because I think Burton, he's been better, and he's got closer to the front to maybe lead laps, where I don't think Chastain is as close enough to the front to lead laps. Next, we have Justin Haley. Do you remember like 2 weeks ago when Justin Haley was like $6,000 on DraftKings, and now he's $9,200? I mean, it's good. I mean, he's been a great car this year. He has a win at Talladega. He's been running really well. Starts 11th, has some decent place differential upside, 6th best average finish at the road course, and 7th best average position at the road courses. I think Haley's fine. I just don't think he really gets up front and leads a bunch of laps. But if he finishes in the top 5, that could end up being a very huge play. Like, I think like Haley, Chastain, Burton, and maybe Gragson to an extent are all more like tournament-only options. I wouldn't play them in cash games. Wouldn't play them in single entries or 3 max tournaments. But if you're mass entering a GPP, I think Haley, Chastain, Burton, and Gragson are going to be places to get different to allow you to differentiate from the field and gain leverage, especially if some of those guys up a little higher fail. Up next, we have Riley Herbst starting 23rd. Never raced in a road course here, so that's fun. I don't really expect a lot from Riley Herbst. Average finish coming in at 14.4 and average position at 12.8. And it seems like Riley Herbst wrecks every week, and now he's $9,000. That's too expensive. Like, if Riley Herbst was down like $8,000 in the 7K range like he usually is, that's a different story. But $9,000 for Riley Herbst just ain't it. Same thing for Alex Labbe. Starts 22nd, but he actually hasn't run terrible here or at road courses. 9th best average finish and 11th best average position. He had a really good run here a few years ago. Or I keep saying here, but at one of the road courses, he had a really good run. And I think that's an interesting option to play. I think he's going to be lower owned because I don't think people are going to really want to pay that much for someone like Alex Labbe, and they're going to just pay for Clements, $200 less because Clements is going to be chalky. But I think Labbe could be an interesting pivot and someone who could actually end up paying off. I'm going to be playing some Alex Labbe. It's Labbe, not Labbe. Alex Labbe. I'm going to be playing some of him this week. But not a guy I really want to like a great play I want to have, just someone I might want to have some exposure to in GPPs. Next, we have Jeremy Clements at 8,700 starting 21st. Clements is going to be chalk. The road courses are by far Jeremy Clements' best tracks. He has the 7th best average finish and his 6th best average position. He starts 21st and he's only 8,700. I expect him to get up inside a top 10 for sure, and he even has top 5 potential. I mean, he has his only win in the Xfinity Series was at, I believe, Road America. May not have been that one. It was one of the one of the road courses he has his only Xfinity Series win in, so I don't expect him to win tomorrow, but I mean a top 10 run should be in the cards for him, and that should definitely pay off his salary, 8,700, and I definitely have some interest in him. Brandon Jones, 8,500. See, this is where the problem is. Like, you at the past road courses, the guys who start in the front are the guys who lead the most laps. I mean, that makes sense. But the guys who start in front for this race aren't, like, great road course drivers. None of them. The top 4 drivers are not great road course drivers. Brandon Jones, 12th best average finish at road courses, 9th best average position at road courses. That's not good. And it's not like Brandon Jones has been running, like, exponentially great this year. I mean, he's led 6 laps in the last 5 races. So, like, I mean, I just don't really see Brandon Jones getting out front and leading a ton of laps early. But I feel like you're going to have to play these guys because I know Allgaier starts 5th, but I just don't see Justin Allgaier getting to the front like 4 or 5 laps in. I think it's going to take him a little bit because it's just a road course, it's a tough track. So who are you going to be your picks to lead the early bit of the race? I mean, it's got to be one of these 4. So in my opinion, Jones is any bet as anybody, especially because out of those top 4, Brandon Jones probably does with the best car. Maybe Jeb Burton is one of those 2. So I think he might be the best bet to lead it. So I'm probably going to be playing my fair share of Brandon Jones just because I think he can lead laps and finish inside the top 10. All right, up next is Brandon Goodoire. I really have no clue how to say that name. Hasn't raced in the Xfinity Series in the last 2 years at a road course. He is a road course guy. That's what he does. I think he races another series, but comes into the Xfinity Series when they go to road courses. He's in Colin Garrett's number 26 car, so it is going to be a competitive car. And he starts in 38th, and I think he should be able to finish in the top 20. I don't think that should be a problem for him, and he'll pay off that salary. So I think he's going to be pretty chalky. But he also might not be because he's not in some top car. But Colin Garrett's number 26, they're competitive when they race, and he can compete for a top 15 in that car. So I think Brandon Goodoire is fine. I'm really interested to see what his ownership comes at. Next, we have Michael Annett starting 2nd at 8,200. Again, see, this is another guy on the front row who just isn't good at the road courses. So, why would I really want to play one of them? I mean, it's tough. Do I think Michael Annett gets out front and leads a bunch of laps early? I mean, he could, but, I don't even think he's led a lap all year. Okay, he has 3 laps led in the last 5 races, but, that's just not a lot. And, I mean, he has the 10th best average position, the 11th best average finish at the road courses. So, it's just not, a great place to go to. Next, we have Anthony Alfredo. He's back in 21 for RCR. Never raced a road course in the Xfinity Series. Starts 7th. I just expect him to kind of hang around there all day, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, he's a good driver and a really good car. He's on one of the better cars in the field. I just don't see a ton of upside there. But if he finishes, top 3 or 4, that's going to be a good place to go to. I think he's fine. I'm just not overly excited to play Anthony Alfredo. But I think he's fine play. He's not going to get ownership. So a good pivot off of probably who we're about to go to, Myatt Snyder, might be Anthony Alfredo. Speaking of Myatt Snyder, again, also has not raced in a road course in the Xfinity Series. But Myatt Snyder is starting 26, and he is a good driver. But I will say this, he's not in that 21 car. He's in the 98, 96, one of those cars that it's not as good, not as fast. I mean, when you watch, he splits the season between these 2 rides, and when he's driving that 98 car, I think it's 98. No, that's what Chase Briscoe drives. I don't know. It's a 90-something car, and whenever he drives that car, it's just not as fast as maybe a top 15 car at best, and that's what he can do. But he starts 26, and I don't know how he is at the road courses, so that'll be an interesting one to play. I think he's gonna be pretty chalky, but I'm just, for this race, I'm really just not gonna go completely overboard on anybody except for maybe AJ Allmendinger I might play a lot of. But other than that, I think it's just gonna be really spread out ownership for me, and I think Myatt Snyder is gonna be just like that. I expect people are gonna have to play people in the 7K range, and I think he's gonna be the guy that a lot of people play just because he's starting farther in the back. But when we get down to Brandon Brown, I think Brandon Brown might be lower owned, especially after you burned everyone last week, and he's only 2 spots back, could end up outscoring Myatt Snyder. Next, we have Brett Moffitt, 7,700. He hasn't raced in the Xfinity Series here either, but I mean, he's Brett Moffitt. He's done pretty decently well in the Truck Series at the road courses, or at the road course that they race. So I think he's fine. I don't think he has a ton of upside. He could get a top 10, but that's really about it. Next, we have Josh Williams starting 20th at 7,500. Williams is okay, but not really. 15th best average finish at road course, 15th best average position at road course. At least he's not priced up at 9K like he's been recently, so that's good. But I think Williams is all right. I'm not really excited to play him. I don't see a ton of upside there, and that's what I'm shooting for, is always upside. I'd rather play Brett Moffitt because I think Brett Moffitt has more upside to finish inside the top 10 than Josh Williams does. Next, we have Brandon Brown starting 24th at 7,400, and I think Brandon Brown might be a good pivot off of Snyder. He has the 13th best average finish at the road courses and the 14th best average position at the road courses. And like excluding last week where he had an engine issue like 10 laps into the freaking race, which screwed me. He has an average finish of 17.25 in the last 5 and an average position of 18.25, which are good numbers. They're not like great, but they're solid numbers. And I mean, he's been hovering around like the top 10 to 15 a lot this year during races, so he could end up getting himself up in there. I would not be surprised to see that. Just hopefully we don't have another engine issue that screws us over. Up next is Ryan Sieg, starting 4th. So here's another guy that starts on the front row, or well, not front row, first 2 rows that you're going to want to probably lead a bunch of laps early. But like, he's bad here. 14th best average finish at road courses and 13th best average position at road courses, and he has not been running well this year at all. Ryan Sieg has had a rough year, and I just don't see any way especially 4th, he's going to be on the outside lane. That's like out of those top 4, it's by far the worst spot to start, so I just don't see him getting out front and leading laps. The one who I think is the most likely to lead the opening laps is Burton, though. He has not raced a road course in the past 2 years, but he does start on that pole, and he is I think he's a better driver than Sieg, and I think he's a better driver than Annett. Jones, maybe not. But he's also in a good car. Like, him and Jones are in the 2 best cars out of that front 4. Burton raced for Junior Motorsports, and Brandon Jones for Gibbs. So I think those are the 2 more likely ones to lead the laps. And Burton's been running pretty well in his races. He runs a limited schedule. He ran Talladega, and I don't think he's run since in a while. But it's just a good car, and I think that's going to be one that is a good play. All right, Timmy Hill's next. I think people are going to overthink Timmy Hill this week. First of all, if you don't know, Timmy Hill's driving a number 13 car for a different team. I don't remember the team name. I forgot which team, but I know it's an upgrade. I can go find that and post it on Twitter or something. But I know it's an upgrade. He's not in the 61 car like he usually is, and we'll get to who is driving the 61 car in a little bit because I think that's a good play too. But Timmy Hill starting 34th, like people are going to be like, oh, he's Timmy Hill and he's 7,100. Yeah, he is, but he's in a better ride. And Timmy Hill always seems to at least perform to the ability or a little outperform what his ride is. So I don't think that Timmy Hill's going to have a problem here. I mean, he's in a better car, 34th place. He should be able to get a top 25, in my opinion. And I think that should pay off that salary. He can even get a top 20, and I would not be surprised. So I think Timmy Hill's a fine play here, and I hope that people don't know that he's starting or that he's driving a different car, so they just don't play him. Next is Jade Buford. It's another road course guy who I think has a little bit of upside, but really not a lot. He's driving the 07 or the 08, the car that Ray Black Jr. used to drive. So I just don't. It's not like a great ride, and starting 17th, I don't think there's a lot of room to go up. Same with Jeffrey Earnhardt. He's in the Junior Motorsports car, and at 6,800, not Junior Motorsports, gosh, the JD Motorsports car, and he just doesn't have a lot of room to go up. BJ McLeod starting 15th. He's too high for me. 17th best average finish at the road courses and 20th best average position at the road courses. Sometimes I'm interested in playing BJ McLeod, but that's usually when he's like 4K. Now he's up to 6,600, which is ridiculous for BJ McLeod, and he starts 15th. I'm not interested in playing that. All right, I think a lot of people are going to make a mistake and play Chad Fincham this week. Chad Fincham, so we had a little bit of switching around. That's by the way, that's the car that Timmy Hill's driving. He's driving whatever car Chad Fincham drives, which is a like decently competitive car in the races. I just forgot the name of the team. But Chad Fincham's driving the car that Stephen Light usually drives, which is a start and park. And as far as I know at the moment, that's still planning on happening. I'll do some more research and finding, and maybe it'll change tomorrow and they're going to get a sponsor and they're going to actually run. But even then, I just don't, that car's not fast. He's starting 37th, so people are going to want to play him because he's been decent this year, but it's a different car. You just don't, it's a bad car. And I mean, in NASCAR, sometimes more than anything, a good car and a bad car makes such a big difference, even depending on the driver. So I just don't expect Fincham to really be any reason to play him. So I would not play Chad Fincham. Now, Josh Palicki, on the other hand, I don't hate. 6,300 starting 36. I never played Josh Palicki ever, but he starts 36. He has average finish of 24.375 at road courses and average position at 22.66 at road course. And he starts 36, so he can get up to like 24th. If he can get a top 25, that's going to be really, really good for that 6,300 price tag, and I think he's going to end up being a very good play. I don't know if people are going to play him. I think he'll be a little bit chalky, maybe not chalky, but he'll get ownership. But he's a fine play. He doesn't have a ton of upside, but he's got a good floor, and I think he shouldn't have a problem, not as long as there's not a wreck with finishing the race. So, Tommy Joe Martin, 6,100. I'm not interested in playing him. He has an average finish of 27.5 here, an average position of 24.5 here, and he starts 25th. So that's really not something I'm very interested in playing. I think he's okay. I mean, if you want to take a stab at Tommy Joe Martins, that's fine, but like he has not run well this year. Average position of 23.75 and average position of 25.66. It's just not something I'm interested in playing. Matt Mills, he hasn't run here, but it's the same thing as I always say about Matt Mills. Don't play him. His car's not fast at all. Everyone wanted to play him at Talladega starting the back, but he just wasn't the fast. His car is like no competitive in it. So Matt Mills is not a play for me. Vinny Miller starting 35th is okay. I just don't see a ton of upside at 5,800 here to really warrant playing Vinny Miller. 30 average finish of 30.8 and average position of 33.42. That scares me, man. That scares me. I just don't think the car's going to, I don't think the driver's good at the road courses, so I'm not going to be going to Vinny Miller. Cody Vanderwall wrecks every race. We're going to pass. Bailey Curry's not competitive. We're going to pass, especially with an average finish of 36. Joe Graf Jr., Kyle Weatherman, both have no experience here, so we'll go look at what their average finish and position are in a year. Joe Graf Jr. does have an average finish of 17, average position of 20.5. Weatherman's is 27.66 and 25.33. I think Graf's okay. I don't think you should play Weatherman, but I think Graf has some upside, especially at 5,300. I don't hate it. I think there's potential for him to get a top 20. Probably more than likely it's just going to end up being a top 25. But I mean, if Joe Graf Jr. moves up 4 or 5 spots, that's going to be good at 5,300. And if he gets a top 20, he could be the guy you end up needing. Preston Pardus for 4,900. Again, I forgot the car he's driving, but it's a competitive car as well. It's not like a trash can car, and he's a good road course racer. He's okay. I would rather, if you're going just for the new road course racers, Preston Pardus is probably the last guy on the list I want to play, but he's fine. Well, maybe more than Jade Buford, I might rather play him. But I just don't expect a lot from him starting 19th. Up next, we have Jesse Little starting 13th at 4,700. And it's just, he just starts too high, and he's just not really been so great this year. But Stephen Light is someone I'm very interested in, actually. I don't care about his averages or anything because Stephen Light is actually running a car. He's running Timmy Hill's normal car. He's into 61 this week, which is, I mean, yeah, it's not a great car by any means, but it's at least decently competitive. And if he hangs around that position all day, he's going to be fine. So I think Stephen Light is a very, very solid and okay option. And then last but not least, we have Mike Wallace coming back from whoever knows how long he's been retired for. I don't know why he's raced, but he's in a JD Motorsports car, starts 14th. He's okay. If he can hang around the 14th spot all day, he'll be a decent play, but it's just not, I wouldn't expect much from him. I'd rather play Stephen Light if I'm being completely honest. And I could eat those words and Stephen Light could be absolute trash, but I think I'd rather play Stephen Light just because he has more place differential upside and I can see him getting a top 20. So that's all the driver-by-driver breakdown. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on notification bell. All those things really help me out, help me grow. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend, have some good luck, and win some money on NASCAR. Make sure to check out my other video. I'll put it up here right now for you guys to check out. Follow me on social media. I'll put it in the descriptions, and subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put